the highest part of alliance. If you put an S in front of alliance, you have Salliance. That's me.
This is David Goldie, your World Wrestling Grand Prix champion, and you're listening to the Alliance Guys podcast.
Building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
I'm building an
Welcome
alliance.
to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. My name is Jay Callen. Each and every Thursday, I'm joined by my friends, my confidants, my los patrons. Is that something? I don't know. Anyways, coming. Oh, my microphone's way over here. It sounds funny. Sorry, guys. I hope that doesn't sound too bad. We're nothing but professional over here. So, welcome to the show, Mr. Jaden.
Pleasure's all yours.
DKM. And, of course, the professor, Rick Del Santo. What is up, gentlemen? How are you doing this evening?
Yeah.
That good, huh?
Tornado warnings, 90+ degree temperatures, and all or tornado warnings, yeah, and 90+ degree temperatures, making it a fun day.
How about you, Rick? What's going on with you, Rick?
Oh, can you guys hear me?
You are very, very quiet, Rick.
No.
I love technical snafu.
Well, you know that it's the Alliance blog, so we always have the tech snafus.
It's very tasty.
Rick, maybe your microphone is maybe you need to switch microphones. Maybe it's not picking up on the gold mic that you're using, because you sound really quiet.
I think he froze.
And you're frozen. We're gonna leave.
It was a great show. Thank you all for showing up for it.
All right, wait, everyone, be quiet just for a second. Rick, are you there? You're moving. Your sound.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Now you're good. Now we're good. Now we're good.
Now we're good. Okay. I have some new equipment. I gave it a small test run beforehand. And apparently, I needed to mess around with it a little more. So.
You're slightly off when it comes to like your video to your audio too. Just heads up.
That sounds about right in this house. Yes. I think it's my internet connection, so I apologize. So I live in the woods. You know, what do you expect, really?
You know, I didn't know you lived out in the woods. This is going to be a fun podcast. I just know it.
Yeah. Right. Time delay, Rick.
What are we doing? What are we doing? If not, I could always switch.
Okay. You're cutting in and out.
Around. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back.
Do you want me to drop you out of the window screen, or do you want to stick around? All right.
That's because those servers that he's running are from 1984, like behind DKM.
That's
okay.
I agree.
DK, are you taking off too?
I was going to, but since Rick disappeared on us, I'll stay for a little bit. Then I got.
All right.
I got something I got to do. There's something on the stove.
Go get your food off the stove, and Jaden and I will hold it down.
It's not going to explode or anything.
No, but I don't want your food to burn or anything. Come back in a minute. We'll see you.
I'll be back.
All right, Jaden. Now that we dropped the dead weight, it's you and me. What's up, buddy?
Yes. Let's talk bad about them while they're gone. Anyway, not much. How are you guys doing? Well, I guess you guys isn't you. How are you doing?
I am good. Hey, how come when I was in Philly, we didn't call everything John? There's a John over there. There's a John over there.
It's not a John. It's a Jawn. Jawn. Jawn.
Why didn't we do that?
Because I'm not a moron?
It's hard times, Daddy.
I also call it water and not wooder. And I call it film and not film. And it's Acme, not Acme. and everything else. And instead of Gritty, like they call the mascot Gritty, but I call him by his proper name, the Kensington Meth Muppet.
Kensington Meth Muppet. I'm down with that.
Yeah, so properly.
Yeah, well, it has been a very busy week for your boy Jay. I've been streaming almost nonstop, whether it be on YouTube or on TikTok. I feel like I'm conquering the world in some regards, and so things have been going all right.
I heard. I think somebody's back, but I heard that Dog has finally got their TikTok running properly.
Yeah, you're Rick, you're back. Yeah, yes. And I saw Rick today on TikTok when I was live before the show.
That's all I do while I'm working is play on TikTok. So,
I mean, welcome to the party, pal. That's pretty much all I do.
I actually heard that Rick's TikTok is full of like Memphis footage and old wrestling footage. Is that true?
It's a very good selection of it, and podcast clips, of course.
Rick is putting in the work, Yeah. You were doing a lot of cool things, and like not only the interviews that are popping up of wrestling classics, but also guys from today too. It's just like Rick. When I grow up, I want to be Rick. He's got it going on.
I don't ever have to worry about that because I never grow up.
Jade, you are the eternal Peter Pan, are you not?
I don't want to grow up. I don't want to wear a tie or watch new age wrestling in the middle of July.
That's funny. That was good. Real quick, our pal Steve G says it's been very hot here also. Yeah, I mean, we've had the last 2 days were over 100. Today was 94. I've mostly been in the Bat Cave today because I've been working on podcasting and stuff and watching wrestling and it's fun. It's rewarding. It's fun stuff. I've become a gimmick on TikTok. I'm no longer Jay Cal, the serious wrestling journalist. I am the team Kevin Owens on TikTok.
Na Jay Cal.
Dude, I'm gonna have you write the next theme song.
There you go.
Real quick, I would be remiss if I didn't get to Willie Bowen's joke of the day. I do feel like it needs a visual, so here it is. Tyrus will be in the next Superman movie. He'll be Superman's new foe, Lardo. That is a big waste.
Actually, I heard he's doubling his World.
Oh my god. Where that's Warworld, that's where Hulk lived, yeah?
No, that's Sakaar.
No,
World is where oh crap, what's his name?
Doomsday.
No, not Doomsday. No.
I know who you're talking about, though. Darkseid.
Darkseid, yeah. Their version of Thanos.
Yeah. I guess their version of Thanos predates our version of Darkseid, whatever. Anyways, Overmetal says that fast channel is a killer, y'all. We're gonna get to that Overmetal, Matt. You're overhyped, bro. You're breaking things down before we even have a chance to get there. Give us a minute.
I think that fast channel's making them go too fast.
You gotta romance things. You can't just get right into it. You gotta talk about it. We gotta walk about it. It takes a minute. We'll get there.
You got to know when to roll them, know when to fold them.
That song was the song. Okay, did anyone here besides me play sports in high school?
Yes.
I wrestled.
Wrestled, yeah.
Yep.
Hockey,
4 years.
Boxing, martial arts.
I made fun of the people who did sports in high school.
Oh, you're so cool, huh?
Hey, I was a skinny little thing.
We our football team.
So was I. Boy, I missed that.
I haven't been skinny since 1987, so don't. That's when I found Twinkies, and I've never gone back.
Bitty, 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 bitty.
Anyways, we used to sing that song after our football games when we won. If we lost, it was absolute quiet. But when we won, and we did win a couple of games, we would sing, "You gotta know when to hold them." And it was weird because like half the guys on my team never even heard of
Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers.
I wanted to say Willie Nelson, and I knew that was wrong. And I was like, nope, it's Kenny. Kenny.
It's Willie Bowen. Get it right.
Willie Bowen. There it is.
It's awfully quiet over there. You must be losing. What?
I think Matt has
smoked too much.
I think Matt has a very solid point about the Tyrus jokes because, you know, the great thing about Tyrus is when he said he's leaving the business, he actually left the business. And in a world where so many people retire and then come back, I have not seen Tyrus in a wrestling ring since he retired. So maybe Matt's onto something. Maybe it is time to move on to Sam's joke.
I saw him somewhere.
Was it
probably?
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't Fox, but I mean, I saw him somewhere. They were showing him like going into a place or something like that. He has lost a lot of weight.
That's interesting.
Don't tell me that he's coming back.
No, he had to retire because of health reasons, and I think he's had to lose a lot of weight because of health reasons. And
I think you just broke Willie's heart.
Sorry.
Maybe. They got Sam.
When Jaden and I were in Philly, or I guess we were in Philly because we were at the restaurant. I told Jaden, I said, "You're so quick, man. You're so funny." And he goes, "I don't even know I'm being funny. I just say whatever comes to the top of my head, and most of the time it's funny." And I'm like, "All right."
It's also people think I'm being funny, but I'm actually just an asshole.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to tell me, brother.
So, do we have to change it now to Sam Shithouse jokes?
Maybe. It's funny. We got 2 cameras on, 2 cameras off. That's all right. We'll figure it out. It's all good.
We have like a domino going on.
We do. It's very fitting. So you know, we're going to talk about Power in just a few minutes, but there is some NWA news, and I would be remiss if we didn't get right into it. As Matt already brought up, the Fast channel is fast. Of course, a lot of us might have been surprised. The NWA announced that it was going to be a part of Roku. In fact, it was the last episode of Power. They started already advertising that they would be a part of the Roku Sports channel coming July 29th, which is a Tuesday. The new airtime will be at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and it will be a part of the Roku Sports package. So now, instead of going to X to watch Power, you get to go to Roku. Now, I did a little bit of research on that. I hope I can get into it if you guys don't mind. But over the course of the last year, you know, it's very interesting. The NWA has now had, this will be the 4th platform it's attempted to have Power on. Now, of course, the first one was YouTube. When they debuted back in 2019, it was YouTube. That was that. It was cool. It was easy. Everyone could watch it. There was no pay window. There was no obstacle to watch it. It was anyone who had YouTube could watch it. Easiest way to do it. During the pandemic and everything that came out with allegations in the NWA family, there was a point where it seemed like the NWA was going to close shop. They removed all the content off of YouTube. I don't know if you guys remember that, but all NWA content was wiped. And when they came back as part of Triller, where they had an NWA subscription service where they would replay matches on Power after they would debut on Triller, still at that Tuesdays at 6:05 Eastern time slot. That lasted for quite a while, actually. And subsequently, the Triller deal fell apart. I think it was back in 23, might have been even 22. And all of us who had paid for the subscriptions and paid for all those pay-per-views lost all of that, lost access to all of that content that we thought we owned, but we were merely leasing from Triller, which when they and the NWA stopped working together, so did their access to that content. So that was kind of a shit deal for the fans because, of course, a lot of us who had spent a lot of money on those pay-per-views lost out on that. And there was no, hey, here's a bonus credit. Here's a free subscription to Triller for a year. Nothing. There was just no comeuppance. Then they'd come back to YouTube, and after a couple months of being on YouTube, Billy was very vocal about not earning enough money through YouTube and how it was not generating enough profit for the NWA, which saw them move to the CW on October 1st of 2024. Now, that was relegated as this huge victory lap for the NWA. This was a big, big deal. What nobody seemed to realize at the time is it completely alienated the international market. The only people who could watch the CW app were those who lived in the United States, and anyone else was told to get a VPN. Now, VPNs are great ideas, but that's not, I think, a good message you want to send to your audience. During the time on CW, the WWE was negotiating with CW to bring NXT off of the streaming network to the CW to make it a regular viewable show. And when that deal was confirmed, months before the WWE debuted on CW, the National Wrestling Alliance quietly exited the platform and moved their content to the to X. X was always a very interesting concept because X isn't known for it being a streaming platform, a platform to consume video content. It's more of a more written, more short essays, short diatribes, and not really a place where people typically go for video format. YouTube, Twitch, Meta, even TikTok, all are better places I think would have been better served to be a home for the NWA and its video distribution. However, that wasn't the case. And after roughly 42 episodes of NWA wrestling that featured multiple signature live events like the NWA 76, Saw Win 2, Looks at Kill, Shockwave, and right now Hard Times, and presumably also the Crockett Cup. 42 episodes later, the experiment, all pun intended, has ended for X, and that the NWA is now moving on to greener pastures. The first thing I want to ask is from DKM. You and I, we've been watching this program for quite some time. Are you going to continue to now watch it on the Roku?
Probably. I mean, as long as I don't have to pay for it, I'm probably going to watch it and, cry a lot.
It's interesting you said as long as I don't have to pay for it, because I was happy to pay for that subscription service to Triller. I was like, $50 for, a year-long membership. Like, that was pretty cool because that included all the pay-per-views. Now, I think if they were to have worked that a little bit differently, it would have, if people had to pay for pay-per-views and the television show separately, that might have changed some thoughts on that. But, just a few years ago, I thought the product was good enough that I would pay for. Rick, I'm assuming you're going to follow suit and jump on the Roku app as well. But
yeah.
What do you think about the jump from X to Roku?
I think it's a benefit for them. I'm not, I use X on a daily basis as a platform, but I don't sit there. The only thing that I do watch is the NWA on there for review purposes for this show. Since because I kind of wasn't really watching it that often once it went there, but I'm going to watch it on Roku. I utilize Roku daily. I use my Roku daily. There's one in every room in my house. I have one that I take with me for travel purposes as well, so I could I think it's going to be a good jump. I was watching the Fast channel earlier today. I didn't even realize that it was up until this morning when I saw somebody announce it on social media. And I think there's ways that they're going to be able to generate more income with that. There's automatically commercials placed in between stuff. So I think it's going to be a very positive, very, very positive outlook, because provided they start creating some really good content, maybe they will.
And Jaden, I don't think your viewing habits are going to change, but would you be more inclined to watch it if it was available to you on Roku as opposed to X?
I've had Roku for a very, very, very long time. I have no interest watching the NWA. Maybe if it gets better, I'm more likely to probably watch WoW, even though I heard Jeannie Buss's family sold a very large chunk of the, was it the Lakers?
Yeah. Dave Marquez posted the news about Jeannie Buss selling, going, Jeannie's going all in the wrestling business, and I just had to chuckle at that because I don't feel like they're all in WoW that much. And Steve G brought up the TNA subscription. I'm not on the TNA subscription, but I've thought about it. I think TNA is a good product. I really do. It's just as a content creator, a lot of my time is eaten up literally sitting in my studio here talking about wrestling, and then actually watching wrestling. Either I'm watching it live on Saturdays or Friday nights, or even sometimes on Sundays in a live wrestling venue. So I don't have as much time to watch the shows as I would like to. Like, I think TNA is a great product, and I would like to watch it more. Last night I watched AEW on Max because they were in Arena Mexico, and that's a venue I've been able to go to before. And to me, it was kind of cool to see that kind of that synergy between AEW and CMLL, and the fans really got into it as well. But that's neither here nor there. That's not typical for me to sit down and watch an episode of AEW. I'll watch Raw, I'll watch SmackDown occasionally, and then United Wrestling Network or the NWA. But that's kind of it for me. But with that being said, I do feel like this is the right decision for the NWA. Now, I heard Billy boast about this being. He said something along the lines of,
Jay, I think you're having audio issues now.
Uh-oh.
That's normal.
How about now?
Yeah,
you're better.
Yeah, better.
Okay.
It's like you got too far away from the mic is what it sounded like.
Huh. Let me get a little bit closer. So then, just kidding.
A little bit closer now. A little bit closer now. Sorry. Good.
With that being said, I feel like this is the right move for them because being on the Roku app, I do believe that it's a twofold deal, right? Because sorry, Jaden, you're getting a lot of noise. I'm going to mute you for a minute. Being on the Roku is a twofold deal because not only will we have Power, a part of Sports Central, which I'm assuming there will probably be some co-promotional work with the Roku and helping produce those live events. But then with Wrestling Central, now you're going to have NWA matches, basically featured throughout the day. And earlier today, I happened to go onto the app and I saw the when World the World as a Vampire tour, the show that I went to in Mexico City, and I got to see Vampiro doing a moonsault, which I forgot he even did that. And then later I watched Daga versus the former world's heavyweight champion, the Funkasaurus. And, I think that's really cool because if somebody like me who enjoys wrestling happens to pull that channel on, now they're going to just see what the NWA has done in the past and potentially what it could do in the future.
Yeah, but they're also going to, get all excited and tune in to watch what the NWA is doing right now and then get sick, go blind, run screaming into the night.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that too. And I'm sorry, I'm just responding to Steve G in the chat who had a question about WoW. Because
wow.
That was hilarious. I haven't had a drop to drink today, and that was hilarious. WoW, as far as WoW goes, and WoW is part of this package deal with Wrestling Central, and it just feels like there's an opportunity. I've been thinking out loud about an NWA WoW crossover at some point. At the time, the NWA had a very solid women's division when I started talking about it. Now I feel like the division's struggling, and you've got a wealth of talent on WoW.
Wow.
I think it would be great to see a crossover. But to Steve G said, hey, J-Cal, off subject. If you know anyone from WoW, can you please tell them they need to do a better job advising the fans when the live events are? I'll tell you this, Steve. They basically rent their venue out for about 2 weeks and record every bit of content that they're going to air for the whole season. And then that's it. Like their turnaround time is so much worse than the NWA's because all that talent is literally sitting at home right now. They're not well. I mean, some of them are taking independent dates. Some of them are appearing in the NWA. Some of them go to work in Ohio Valley. Some of them go work for Reality of Wrestling. But at the end of the day, like, they're not filming any new WoW content currently. Now that they'll probably announce more dates later in the summer. I would imagine late July, early August, because that's traditionally when I've remembered them taping. But as of right now, they're just sitting at home.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funnier than it should be. So all right, so we covered the fact that the NWA is now going to be on 2 different platforms on Roku. Of course, their weekly show is on Roku Sports. It'll still be on Tuesdays with a later start time. Now it's basically going head to head with NXT. You have to choose if you're going to watch NXT live or you're going to watch the NWA live. NXT is on the CW, NWA is on the Roku. So you do have to make a decision there. And, that they're going head to head. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because I don't think Roku announces ratings or at least, views on their shows. So I don't know that you'll be able to determine who's winning the ratings war. And to be quite honest, I think it was a bad idea for the NWA to put a show on up against what the WWE is doing. But,
might not have been their decision. It might have been the, Roku Sports decision. So
that's true. But then I guess, and look, I don't know what it's like to argue about that behind closed doors. But if I'm advocating for the National Wrestling Alliance, I'm going to say, hey, look, we know that Tuesdays at 8:00 is when the WWE, the biggest company in the world, has one of their programs on. Let's do it either after or before.
Well, but I mean, if you want it in prime time, which is what I'm guessing was the deal.
Sure.
Let's put it in prime time. Monday has Raw. Tuesday has NXT. Wednesday has AEW. Thursday, if you can find it, if it's in your area, has TNA.
Yeah.
And it could very easily end up with a WWE Lucha show.
Yeah.
Friday has SmackDown. Mm-hmm. Saturday has Collision. When do you put it?
Well, I mean, look, if you ask me to pick a time against what you just listed, I'm going to go against TNA. I'm going to try to line up against TNA Wrestling because, again, their visibility isn't that large either, and you might have more people tuning into the NWA. If I gotta believe that. Go ahead.
I have a Roku question because I don't use Roku. So my question is, when they do a live show like this, or not a live show, but a time slotted show like this, is it like NXT with not NXT? Is it like Netflix with Raw, and that I can really watch it anytime? That's just when it's going to premiere. Watch it, and if you miss it, you miss it.
Yeah, that's the other question I had. Is there going to be an on-demand feature for people that aren't able to maybe catch it at 8:00 on a Tuesday night?
Yeah, and I don't have a solid answer for you. And Rick, I think your experience with Roku is greater than mine. I've jumped on the app just a handful of times, and watching it today, it didn't look like I would be able to find it on demand. Now, maybe that's something that I need to learn how to do, or maybe that's just not a feature that's available yet. And then that's when the relationship.
The actual Roku channel does have a ton of stuff that's on demand. Like they have movies and stuff like that are on demand. My guess is, and I'm hoping that they will put something like that there for shows like this, the the NWA. Sorry, I couldn't remember what the heck we were talking about, but the NWA. So
yeah, no, and that would make sense. And I think again, I haven't explored the Roku app enough to know, right? I just don't know. But if they don't do that again, then that would really kind of the relationship that they have with YouTube and the relationship that they have with X might come in handy, where they could put replays of the show on those platforms if they choose to. So they're still kind of being able to, look, the last episode of Power on X currently sits at 26,000 views. Now that's only for like the last 2 or 3 days. But some of their views have gone up to as much as 107 or 154,000 views. And I get it, the views have diminished over the last 42 episodes, where, and obviously like the first episode had 154,000 people watch it. And then the second episode had 81,000 people watch it. That's a pretty significant drop off. And then they had other episodes, like the first episode of the Fall Wind live event was almost at 150,000 views. But then the second episode of the Saw Win signature live event was only 107, and then it was down to 92, and then 84, and then the final episode of the Saw Win event was like 137. So it is inconsistent, but more often than not, the shows were trending downwards in terms of views on X. But I still think there are people who are not going to go to Roku to watch this show, and maintaining a presence on either YouTube or X or both still might benefit them.
When I've been watching your Roku channels for a long time, a lot of them will just play a loop of about an 8-hour loop of about 4 times.
Yes.
So that may be the way it is that they're going to do it on this one. They'll play an 8-hour loop 4 times.
Yeah.
There is, like I said, you can not only with a Roku could you download, or there's actually on-demand stuff, but there's like, obviously with a Roku you can get like Netflix, or you can get Hulu, or you can get Disney Plus. You can use that as, if you don't have a smart TV, it could be your way to watch those smart TV things too. So it is. I do recommend getting a Roku, but with the NWA, again, I'm only speculating. It'll probably just loop over maybe over more of the time of the week, or maybe just over one day it'll loop a bunch. So it might give you a chance. You'll just have to figure out what time it's going to come on.
Right.
And what has been kind of expressed by those who are speaking in NWA leadership roles is that it would be historic content from the NWA, not new stuff. So I don't imagine we're going to see, at least on the Wrestling Central, I think we're going to see the older content stuff from, the Lightning One era of the NWA, and any other library that maybe Billy happens to acquire or may already have access to. Like, I think those shows will end up on Wrestling Central, but the new episodes of Power, I think, will, eventually find their way onto Wrestling Central. But I think in the meantime, those will be only available on the Roku Sports.
I think best case scenario for the NWA's sake, if it runs like the old WWE 24/7 program that used to be on your cable station back before they had the app and everything like that, where they had the live running content, but after it went live, you could watch it after about an hour later, you could watch it on demand too.
Yeah. Which the other thing is, would 7 p.m. Eastern be a better time as opposed to 8 o'clock? I think 7 p.m. would be a great time for something like this.
I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, that's almost like a lead-in show for the NXT.
Right.
I don't know how they're.
I think that I'm sorry, Jade. I think that it would help the NWA as opposed to them suffering going up against NXT personally, because I don't think anybody's going to switch off NXT. As much as I'm not the world's biggest NXT fan right now, but there are people that are really, really into the NXT brand, so they might not even care to even attempt to watch the NWA.
I don't know their advertising budget, how advertising works on a Roku. I only have some experience with traditional television. But a lot of traditional television, there's a lot more money to be made at 8 o'clock than 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that may be the reason. I don't know. I'm just, again, speculating, but I'm using an educated guess. That may be the reason. But it'd be really cool if they can get a Big Bang Theory lead in. I mean, at least maybe the people will watch it.
Well, again, they're on a sports channel, so like you know, and for shits and giggles, right now, I'll try to get onto the Roku app, the sports channel, and see what I can find here. So
maybe they could have Sheldon versus Penny in a death match.
Who would you root for?
Penny. Penny. Penny.
They had a wrestling match once.
Did they now?
Was it for a battle for Soft Kitty?
No. It was an episode where it was boys versus girls and all sorts of games, and the girls kicked the guy's ass in every game. And so there was one where it was like Penny versus Sheldon wrestling, and she flipped him over on his back and pinned him.
Sounds about right. Excuse me. Sorry.
And then her and Amy started kissing his face all over the place. And
you sure that wasn't a dream?
No, it was one of the most. You have to have a history with the show, but it was one of the most hysterical things ever. If you knew what you knew about Sheldon.
I know. My daughter, my youngest daughter, loves young Sheldon because she feels like she is exactly like Misty from that show, and I told her, "The hell you are."
Better not be.
No, you better don't.
It could be worse. She could end up like Mandy.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking right now at the Roku Sports channel, and on now it's the Rich Eisen show, which is that's 8:40 p.m. on a Thursday night, and then I don't know, like, I wish you could see like a guide for it.
Who's this wealthy Eisen guy?
Shit. Really,
I don't know who he is.
Well, the interesting thing about it is when you look up on this, there also this a listing of free events, and I think these are WNBA events, but like the Dallas Wings at the Connecticut Suns, or this is I guess football. Bay from the Red Bull Arena in Harrison, New Jersey, the Bay Football Club at the New York.
That's a soccer.
Gotham Football Club. Yeah, so I mean, like, look, maybe there is an opportunity to do live events later down the road, right?
Right.
Jeez, Willie, tell us how you really feel.
If you had your choice, Willie, young Sheldon or Tyrus, what would you choose?
I don't know if he's in the chat.
It's not as good as Big Bang Theory, but it's still pretty okay. Young Sheldon.
I think I'm just more of a fan of the old sitcom styles. So like,
yeah.
What about George and Mandy?
Mork and Mindy?
I love that
George and Mandy. George and Mandy.
No, I didn't watch that one. I started to, and I didn't like it.
Well, I binge watched it after my brother told me that it improved, and it did, but it still was never that good. It'll be back next year.
And now in the chat, you've got Steve G and Noob talking about that Markova is the main draw in the women's division. And your boy Matt is saying, nah, man, Tiffany Nieva is over Markova. So it's getting heated, guys. It's getting heated in the chat. You guys better settle down. I don't have to spray you with a hose or something.
Speaking of Natalia, I guess Natalia, I guess, she is now teaming up with Maxine Dupree.
Oh, really?
I guess there goes her NWA career.
Not necessarily. And I'll say this. I don't know how true it is. Maybe I'm just being hopeful and wishful. But she said when Billy Corgan was on Busted Open, that's the other thing. Natalia is like now one of the co-hosts for Busted Open. She does like a special 1 hour like mini show with Dave LaGreca, I think, on Fridays. And she's mentioned that she would like to return back to the NWA to have a match or two. And she said she wanted to take the belt off of Kenzie. Now, of course, it's easy to say this thing when you're on a non-WWE sponsored content, but I mean, there's nothing really stopping that from happening. We've seen the WWE has had a lot larger willingness to work with other companies. They're the TNA World Champion is a WWE guy, And I know that they bought AAA, but the WWE tag team wrestlers are now your AAA champions. That still doesn't go, isn't finalized until the third quarter. And we're seeing a lot of even recently, Osmos was one half of the tag team champions in Pro Wrestling Noah. I don't think it's entirely unheard of to see a WWE wrestler holding a title in a I don't want to say a rival promotion, a friendly promotion. And I think at this point, WWE and the NWA are friendly.
Who was one half of the Pro Wrestling Noah tag team champions?
Isn't it Osmos? Am I saying it wrong?
Omos,
yeah. Yeah.
Omos, you Dumas.
I did learn how to say Asuka, though. I finally got that right. I know Matt's been wondering.
It's not Azuka?
I'm
kidding. No.
Rick, that's what I used to say. It's not Asuka. Well, I'm Asuka for saying it wrong. How about that, Rick? Steve G brings up a very good question, and I'm going to pose to both of you, or all three of you gentlemen. How does Ed O'Neill always get great-looking women to play his wife?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That's what it is.
There you go.
Yes. He's a black belt in BJJ.
I'm not touching that one. Not touching that one.
You know the real answer, don't you?
Money.
He knows the booker?
Well, on TV, for the TV wives, it's who's going to draw the most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought it was weird, and even when I was a little kid, watching with Married with Children, and Katie Seagal, Peg, would always be like, ow, rub my hiney. And he was always like, oh, gee, Peg. But it was like, dude, your wife is smoking hot, wearing lingerie all the time. What's wrong with you?
He was married with children.
Yeah.
I'm married with children. I love having my wife's. Anyways, Noob says I need to start pronouncing some Japanese names.
Say Kahagas.
Kahangas. I did that for you.
I know you did. And by the way, did you know Married with Children, the producers were big pro wrestling fans? Bundy was named after King Kong Bundy, who was actually twice as himself and as a different character was on the show. And the Rhodes were named after Dusty Rhodes.
Yes. I did know that.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why there was always some kind of wrestling on there, including Glow, which is the predecessor to Wow.
Wow.
And Wow. That's not Moo.
Wasn't there something in between Glow and Wow that Dave McLean owned?
Pow.
Pow, right?
Was it really?
Pow.
Was it really? Are you fucking around?
No, it was. They took part of Super Clash 3. I remember. I think there was like a battle royal, right? Yeah, there was
lingerie battle royal, and that's where Ivory came from. Well, technically she came from Glow, but she actually became a really good wrestler, I think. And hi, Alex Misery. Yeah, I found out he's from Florida.
She was also in what's the other woman's promotion? LPWA, wasn't she?
Yeah.
No?
That she worked her way from LPWA. It was a progression, and she became a good wrestler though in PAL. She was, I guess maybe it was the competition she was in. She wasn't. You couldn't tell she was that good a wrestler in Glow, but in PAL you could definitely tell she became a good wrestler. Tina Moretti, is that her real name?
Tina Ferrari.
Tina Ferrari is Glow.
Tina Moretti. Jesus, you got me confused now in my 80s wrestling. It's not good.
All right. I just tried to look it up, and I'm not having a lot of luck. Ivory, Wikipedia. Here we go. Her name is Lisa Mary Moretti.
Oh, I got the Moretti part right.
So she wrestled as Tina Ferretti and Tina Ferrari.
Tina Moretti, you mean?
What did I say?
It sounded like you said Ferretti, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I tried to say Moretti, but I could have misspoke. I'm not perfect.
They didn't put an extra N in there for no reason.
I wouldn't say WoW was a modern day Glow.
Wow.
I mean, it's the same promoter, but it's less goofy, I guess. It's still goofy, but way less goofy than Glow was.
Just for shits and giggles, I kind of went down the the rabbit hole here on Wikipedia about Lisa Moretti, and it says that she was a former Supergirls champion for the NWA. NWA had a title of the Supergirls Championship that was founded in 2005, and it was part of the ECCW, which is the Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling, and former champions were Rebecca Knox. You guys might know her as Becky Lynch in the WWE. Lisa Moretti, which I don't, it doesn't list any title defenses. And then it says Natty Neidhart, which, again, I tried to look up title defenses. I didn't see any for her there. And then Nikki Matthews, Veronica Weiss, Tennille
Dashwood, who was she wrestled for Impact Wrestling for a while.
And
Neil Taylor, I think her name was.
Yeah, and in the WWE as Emma.
Oh, that's right, she was Emma. Yeah.
And someone who else attempted to wrestle for that title but never won it was Taya Valkyrie. So there you go.
She's Canadian too, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. And with wait, we lost Rick. Sorry, Rick. I didn't realize you were off the screen.
Did you kick me out? Like, what's going on?
I didn't. If you got kicked out, it was totally unintentional. I was looking at the Wikipedia page, so I didn't see you leave.
I blame DKM.
Gotcha.
Real quick, shout out to Alex Misery. If you're still in the chat, hey, Alex, I would like to invite you to come on to the Alliance Blog podcast for an interview. I'm going to shout out now. I'm going to manifest it. I don't want to talk to Father James Mitchell. I don't want to talk to Lev. I don't want to talk to Gags the Gimp. I want to talk to Alex freaking Misery. All right, there we go.
Is Alex Misery still teaming up? Sorry, good.
Sorry. No, I saw Mitchell at a convention this past weekend. Hell of a nice guy. Our tables were set up against across from each other, so we chatted quite a bit. That's it. That's my story.
There it is.
Did you do any Columbia marching powder with him, Rick?
You know, that was in my brain. I was like, I gotta ask this guy, and I said, nah.
Could you? Oh man, I'm sure he would laugh at that. I don't think he's one of those guys that would be uptight about something like that.
No, he spent a good portion of time just walking around and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He was chatting with people just freely. So he's a pretty cool guy.
I do want to point out there's somebody I haven't seen in the chat before, Malcolm D. And what's up, Malcolm? I'm glad you're here. If you've been here before, sorry if I don't remember. Has anyone been watching Wrestling Central on Roku TV? I hope we answered that for you. But yeah, I think all of us have in some way. Maybe not Jaden, but I know Rick and I have, and I think DK might have as well. Willie Bowen says POW was Afterglow.
Yes. Powerful women of wrestling, which I don't understand how it could be the powerful women of wrestling. What was that? Wow.
I know that was 1988, right? How long did POW last?
I don't know. I remember liking Riot was really awesome, and so was Lana Starr, and that's all I really remember about POW. Oh, and Jungle Girl.
There was TV. There was TV as well, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Which show were Hollywood and Vine on?
Hollywood still does stuff, actually, and she still does lots of conventions.
She just wrote a book, I believe. Just released a book recently.
I have a story about Hollywood. Could I share it?
I don't know. Would it get us demonetized?
No, it won't get anyone demonetized, but it was a coming-of-age story for your boy Jay. I was a junior high. We had pro wrestling at my high school, and it was kind of like, basically, it was like the leftovers of the old Grand Olympic Auditorium days, right? So there was some of the guys who used to wrestle at the Grand Olympic were here at my high school gym doing a wrestling show. Pistol Pete Marquez, which is a local guy, and these guys were trained by, I think, Black Gordman, stuff like that. Anyways, Hollywood wrestled that show and was in a cat fight with, I think, Candy Divine. I think that was her name. And as they were wrestling in the match, they spilled out into the crowd, and a young 12, 13, maybe 14-year-old Jay had a beautiful Hollywood in his lap for like 30 seconds, and it changed my life. It's when I officially became a man. I think the testicles dropped that night.
I don't even know what to say.
I had my two buddies who were sitting next to me. They were a little bit more troublemakers than I was. They jumped in the women's locker room and tried to peek in on them. I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. You guys enjoy. But that's when I stopped playing with toys as much and started looking at women differently.
Well,
the crazy thing about that is my dad was sitting right next to me, and he was just like, "What the fuck?" Like, he might have been drunk. I don't know. My dad used to like to drink, so he might have had a few before we got there, and just was like, "All right."
I wish I was drinking now.
That makes three of us.
Now.
I'm pretty sure I am drinking now.
I can't say in the chat what some of these folks are saying, but no, that is not what happened, gentlemen.
I don't know, Jay.
Well,
kind of sounds like it.
Did you get a look at her Sunset Strip?
Oh no. I got a hold of those Hollywood Hills though, so that was good. You guys didn't even
that was a good one.
Man. All right. Devin Dowling says sounds like a powwow. It's amazing.
Powwow.
Steve G says maybe Jeannie Buss can invest more in WoW. I don't think that's what she's doing. Malcolm D back in the chat says, hey, Billy Corgan should bring in James Storm. Random question. Is James Storm a draw for anyone in the chat right now? And I'm not trying to be rude to Malcolm. I'm just like, I think James Storm is good, but
I'd go to a show if he was on a show. I mean, personally, I know you're asking the viewers, but I would
you too.
Yeah, I would definitely go to a show if he was on it within, driving distance kind of a thing.
I would like to see him
within an hour. Sorry, Jaden.
I would like to see him either against or with Thurbilly. I think that would be fun.
That'd be cool. That would definitely be cool.
Yeah, no, I think that would be. Oh my God, Double D. I can't say what you guys are saying in the chat. That would get me demonetized. James Storm, I think, would be fun in a feud with Willie. I said Willie. With Thrillbilly. Not Willie, Thrillbilly. I think that would be interesting to see. I think maybe even like a rival to the Southern Six or a usurper to the Southern Six. Maybe he kicks out Thrillbilly to put Thrillbilly on his own, and he takes Alex Taylor and Kerry Morton under his wing.
I'd also like to see James Storm against Trevor Murdoch. I think that'd be fun.
Ooh.
That'd be, yeah.
And they had that opportunity to do that when they first launched Power. Remember, Trevor Murdoch was basically out of the business when Power came back. I mean, he was basically done, and they asked him to come and be an agent. Dave Marquez and Dave Lagana both kind of like, hey man, we would like to have you be a part of this. And he just brought his trunks and like he put over Ricky Saints like on his first match on Power, and then would later win the title that Ricky Saints won during that tournament. So
he also, I think, wrestled against your favorite wrestler in that ham sandwich jabroni, Nick Aldis.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, he eventually would beat Aldis for that title.
I mean, on the first episodes of Power, the first couple episodes, that first season, I think. Seems to stick in my head.
Yeah, didn't they have a draw? Like, that's back when they would have what they would call exhibition matches, which were supposed to be like these short time limit.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I'm just going to double check just to verify.
I may be wrong. I think Trevor Murdoch's the only one left from those days of Power.
Mims is still there. Mims came in really early on, probably in the first season.
So on episode 7, Aldis defeated Trevor Murdoch. They would face off again at When Our Shadows Fall, which I think was like the second pay-per-view when they came back. And Aldis defeated Murdoch by disqualification. And then in an NWA ring, then Trevor beat Aldis at 73 for the 10 pounds of gold. Then later, Aldis and Murdoch teamed up against Adonis and Latimer in a tag match by Any Means Necessary. And then the last time Trevor and Nick shared a ring in the NWA, it was at Always Ready when Matt Cardona wasn't ready and had to forfeit the 10 pounds of gold in a match with Tom Latimer, Sam Shaw, Nick Aldis, and Trevor Murdoch. So there you go. There's so much in the chat that I've been missing, so let me get to it. Wasn't Eli Drake and James Storm in a feud when Power first started? Kind of yes, kind of no. Really, when Eli Drake's character was it kind of felt like he was a shit stirrer, if that makes any sense. Like, he wasn't really a heel, he wasn't really a face. He was just kind of there and kind of like trying to push people to do things. So like, he ended up teaming with James Storm, and they had the tag titles when Power went off the air before COVID, and then they would lose those titles to J.R. Kratos and Aaron Stevens on the Primetime Live series from United Wrestling Network. Yeah, and Willie got that. Yeah, and then James Storm versus the Southern Six is a storyline in JCW. It's a smart storyline because, you know, who's more Southern than James Storm when it comes to pro wrestling? Aaron Stevens was there when Power started. Yeah. Okay. He's not really a wrestler at this point. I mean,
I guess you can count Joe Galley too.
Yeah. You could also count Danny Dills. No, I guess not.
No.
Dills wasn't really a part of the first. You could count Austin Idol.
Do we have to?
I mean, if you're going to count Joe Galley, why not?
I'd much rather count Joe Galley.
Tim Storm, the obvious answer.
No, he's a completely different wrestler now. There's Baron Von Corbin, completely different.
Did you call him Baron Von Corgan?
Baron Von Corbin.
I think Baron Von Corgan would be a great name for that wrestler. All right.
Baron Von Storm and Baron Corbin. I kind of conflated the two of them.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm seeing there's a lot of comments in here. The question is, why aren't those seasons on the Fast Channel? You know what?
I feel like they're ignoring that very early material.
I was about to say something similar, and I'm wondering if maybe Billy Corgan doesn't have possession of those tapes.
You might be right on that one.
Maybe, you know, because you got to remember, you have to remember when we look back, when Lightning One Era bought the NWA, it was basically two people. Before even Nick Aldis was part of the equation, it was William Patrick Corgan and Dave Lagana. And when Tim Storm, they decided to keep Tim Storm as champion, they would recognize him as champion. It was Dave Lagana going out and shooting and editing and producing all of those 10 Pounds of Gold episodes. And I don't know what kind of deal that Dave and Billy had worked out, but maybe Dave still claims ownership of all that content. Maybe he was never paid for that content. Maybe that content was his that he allowed Billy to air. You know, there's a lot of questions that we don't have answers to.
What's missing? Like the first 3 or 4 seasons, maybe 5
of Power?
Yeah.
I don't even know where you would go to watch those older episodes of Power.
Can't find them on YouTube.
I think if you go to the NWA Facebook page and search the videos, I know you used to have the 10 Pounds of Gold series. At least the first season was there. But those first episodes of Power, I don't know where you'd go to watch them.
Maybe it's kind of like when you watch early Pamela Anderson and then you'll see her now and see what the difference is. Maybe that's why they don't have Power on there.
Those early episodes were great. That's all I'm saying. They were fun.
Is that a good analogy?
Maybe.
Well, I can see where anything prior to Power started, there may be an issue, especially with 10 Pounds of Gold. There may be an issue as to who owns it, so to speak, who owns that property. But Lagana wasn't, as far as I know, a worker for Lightning One.
Right.
So the idea would probably legally 100% be that Lightning One owns it all. But there may be reasons why Billy doesn't want to put anything up there related to Lagana that could be, contract to sign, whatever. I don't know.
Could it be? I'm coming over, Devin. Could it also be the Into the Fire and other music, commercial music?
That's another good. I mean, that could be it too. And then Matt says the Alliance blog, they showed season 1 on Power Play a few weeks ago on YouTube, a precursor to this fast stream. Yeah, and that's probably the whole Power Play thing. I guess maybe they hadn't said it out loud, but that's probably they were testing that out to see how well that would work for the fast channel.
When they did they play the commercial music?
Matt, that's a question for you. Did they play the commercial music when they were showing it on YouTube? Have to wait and see for that one.
Well, see, and that might have been licensed through YouTube also, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we talked about a lot of things. If you guys are just tuning in, we did talk about the move to Roku Sports. We did talk about Wrestling Central. Kind of just popped out without really any warning. Now that's the Paramount-owned channel that's going to be featuring content from the NWA and Women of Wrestling. I don't know who else is going to be a part of that, but just popping on today and watching a little bit of it, it was mostly NWA content. Matt says no, they edited out Into the Fire on the Power Play for season 1, so that could be it too.
Okay.
And we're talking about all kinds of stuff, but I think now is a good time to talk about Power.
What about the 77?
Sure.
Okay.
What about 77? Oh.
There's not a lot of news about the 77. The NWA, as it was meant to be, the experiment on X will be over, I believe, on July 29th. I don't think they'll be going back to X. And so Power will be on a new channel. But
I don't think he planned to be there that long.
What's that?
I don't think he planned to be there that long.
I think Billy has taken many missteps that he'll never admit to. I feel like leaving
That's another thing. I don't think he will admit to his mistakes when it comes to his company and streaming. He always puts it over like it's the greatest thing on earth.
Well, so when they joined the CW network, there were already negotiations going on between the WWE and the CW.
Right.
And that deal didn't last a year. That deal lasted about 8 months. So it's like, who signs a deal for 8 months? Oh, look, we're going to give you 8 months and see if this is worth it. And
my guess is there was a mutual agreement to part ways.
But why would you do that? Like, if I'm the NWA, I would love to be on the same network as the WWE, because right after someone goes to the CW app and watches NXT, you know what will pop up afterwards? Related content.
Yeah.
And then the NWA pops up right after a WWE show. Now you're getting eyeballs from fans who probably wouldn't have watched.
My guess is they probably wouldn't have got them any more money.
It's not about the money. If it was about the money, they would have stayed on YouTube where they got paid for their views. They took that show and went on X hoping for more.
Well, let's remember history here.
Sure.
Let's remember history. Billy started complaining about YouTube as soon as they moved back.
Right.
So I don't know how much he was or wasn't making on YouTube. I know everybody that does the YouTube thing who used to make a lot of money at it, has basically been on recently and saying, like Wrestle Talk, the one that I, will watch for the Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews, so I don't have to watch them. And AEW reviews, because I don't watch it. The guy that runs that, who's one of the main voice behind it, he said, he goes, they practically lose money every time they put something on YouTube now. That's YouTube. That's YouTube. Well, because these are places that have high production cost. And they have offices and they have, they have other ventures. So the money that they put into producing a show between talent, because these aren't, they're not getting paid what I get paid.
Sure.
I mean, these are people that are doing this as a living, and everything. And he's basically said that Patreon's what keeps them going.
Right.
That if it was just YouTube, they would probably have to shut down. So I think they thought there was going to be an opportunity to make money at CW, but everything I've heard is that it didn't cover costs. So they weren't making money on YouTube, or were barely doing anything on YouTube. They weren't making money on the pay-per-view, and they weren't making money on whatever. I'm positive they were not making money on X.
Right.
So,
but with that being said, you're right. Everything that you're saying, I agree. Yes, they have higher production costs. This isn't J-Cal putting the Alliance blog on YouTube. Obviously, there's almost no overhead here. What it pays to run on StreamYard and what I pay to use Canva so that I can make graphics. Like, that's it. That's all I'm paying. And even my ROI isn't great on what I'm putting, what I'm putting into it and what I'm getting out of it. It's not great. But if I were to do this show, if we were to take this show and just put it on X and pay to be verified on X, and what we would make on engagement would not be anything, would be pennies.
Well, no, he only went to X so he could say he wasn't going to go to YouTube, and I think because he had trashed YouTube so bad, I think he felt like if he went back to YouTube, that would be a step backwards. I think that was 100% a decision. But remember, when they first did it, they said the first 5 episodes or next 5 episodes or whatever, or at least the next 5 episodes. Remember, they were talking about a third wrestling show. He reshopped out Carneyland, which didn't do any better. Carneyland. He only got the CW thing because part of it was because they wanted Carneyland, because they wanted behind the scenes Billy Corgan's shit. And then of course that didn't do anything either. So I think the money was originally supposed to be in some kind of reality show. And I don't think that ever happened.
Look, I know that they were filming a lot of stuff at the 75th anniversary show. So there was a lot of cameras there, not just NWA cameras. And look, it doesn't really, none of that matters, right? None of it panned out. None of it, we will never know the full story because I don't think Billy Corgan will talk about his opportunities in pro wrestling. He'll only talk about his victories. That's a great looking mug there, Rick. That's a handsome mug.
I brought it on purpose tonight.
Yeah, I got one too, but I use mine to hold pens.
It's a ginger ale tonight.
Nice. Nice. But let's get to Power. This was another week of Power. As we're counting down the final days of the experiment. You see what I did there? The experiment. I love it.
Ooh, clever.
I don't care if you do or not. I took a little bit more notes this time because I realized I didn't even watch it all as I was flipping through. I was like, wait, I didn't watch the last segment.
You didn't need to watch it. Let's just be honest.
I'm sure I didn't. I don't know why you would start a pro wrestling show with something that doesn't look like anything like pro wrestling.
This is the third week in a row that they presented this self-help whatever class.
Does it feel like it's a car dealership? Every time I see
Yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah.
Every time I see it, I'm thinking, or are they selling? Is this a car commercial? Like, good for Billy, got a commercial before the show. Oh wait, it's not a commercial. You paid to produce this. What are we doing? Overmetal said the Bald Boy Society got a new member this week. All right, we'll get to that. This segment featured. Later, we learned his name is Vic, the therapist. Trying to get the talent to acknowledge what they're afraid of. Mims, stone cold, no sign of emotion, is not afraid of nothing. Okay, I get it. Mims is a badass. Then we get Tyler Franks. I think that was Tyler Franks. I couldn't tell. He had a shirt on. That's the weirdest thing I've said on Power or on a podcast in a while. Tyler Franks is afraid of what he's capable of. I kind of like that answer. Okay. Kenzie's afraid of drowning in success. Amazing. Hunter is afraid of going bald. By the way, the therapist Victor is bald. And
He fit in with the NWA though.
Yeah, he sure does. And then Tiffany is afraid of the locker room insecurity of them trying to stop her. I'm afraid that I wasted 10 minutes of my life that I'll never get back.
Yeah, it's been like that for 3 weeks. Yes.
This is, again, I also had a sheet of paper here that I just wrote criticism. And I just wrote a wrestling show shouldn't start off with a sketch. If it's going to be a promo, okay, but put it in a ring, put it in front of the fans, and make it part of the event. A sketch outside of the show. I mean, again, if this was on Roku Sports and this is what I see when I first turn it on, I'm changing the channel. I'm going to find something else to watch. Obviously, the video description doesn't match what the show is because this is obviously not wrestling.
Right.
That leads us into the 6-man tag team match. The Lost versus Tyler Franks and Size Matters. Now, I just got finished telling you that a sketch is not a way to start the show. But I also feel like promos and maybe sketches or backstage segments should be a part of the show, but used the right way. Tiffany Nieves and Kenzie Page and Tyler Franks and Hunter talking about what they're afraid of does nothing to further a single storyline on the show. What would have been interesting if there was a reason why you put Tyler Franks, who so far in his NWA career has had 2 really good matches, one against Max the Impaler, actually 3, one against Max the Impaler, one against Carson Drake, and one against Tom Latimer. Really good matches. He looks like a promising young talent. Why the hell are you putting him with Size Matters? There was no reason for these guys to be teaming up. And as much as Alex Misery, if he's still in the chat, which I probably don't think he is, as much as I enjoy Alex Misery, why are we having a trios match between one team that doesn't ever team together and another team who just started teaming together, and there is no real reason for these guys to fight? DCam, what did James Cornette used to say about wrestling?
I think you mean Jim Ross.
Okay, Jim Ross, excuse me.
Jim Ross once said something to the effect of, wrestling isn't difficult. Give me someone to cheer, someone to boo, and a reason for them to be in the ring with each other.
There was no reason indicated why these guys were in the ring with each other. There was no existing feud. This wasn't a payoff. This wasn't. There was no reason for this match to take place on this week's Power. With that being said, the match wasn't awful for what it was. I'm not a big fan of putting a little person in the ring with regular sized guys, but I'd also prefer not to see junior heavyweights wrestling super heavyweights. Just a matter of preference. I'm not a big fan of Sam Stackhouse. I've seen him live now at the Crockett Cup. I've seen him live at where else did I see him live? I saw him live at GCW. I'm just not a fan of his work. I don't know what the appeal is to him. And when he, and this made me laugh too, he tried to do a spinning heel kick and totally missed his target. And even Billy jumped up and said, "Nope, he didn't get him. He didn't get him." And I'm like, Billy, if we missed it, why are you pointing it out to us? And then they reset the moment and did it again. And I just thought, this is, if I owned a wrestling promotion and I'm putting together a TV show, this would not have made air. This would have been a dark match at best.
And you could always edit it out. Edit that one part out.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing I always say about a botch in wrestling. A botch is only a botch if you A, pretend it didn't happen, or B, you go back and you do it again. The exact same thing. as the old wrestling joke goes, something's not going the way it's supposed to, grab a hold.
Yeah, that would be fine.
And I remember that match with the Page sisters versus Caribbean Flow or whatever. And there was one point where you could tell they got lost. Someone didn't know what they were supposed to do. I think Kylie Page had dropped down. And La Rosa Negra, someone had, jumped over her, but then stopped. And Kylie Page stayed down. And you could see Negra, waving her hand, like, get up. You're supposed to be getting up. It's like, don't do that. Drop an elbow.
Yeah.
And I have a question for Jaden, who's on mute and may not even be listening to us. But you there, Jaden, at all?
Was I ever really there?
No, you were never there. Have wrestlers today just completely lost the ability to ad-lib?
Oh yeah. Everything's so scripted. Promos are scripted. Wrestling is scripted, and the wrestlers that called in the ring, they don't know how to do it to begin with nowadays. So yeah, it is. It's they improvise kind of like Michael Scott does in his improv classes. They try, but they just pull out a gun and shoot everybody, and that's their improv.
Office references will always pop me, and that was a good one, Jaden.
Yeah, they don't know how to. They don't know how to improvise. They don't know how to think on their feet. They don't know what to do once something goes wrong. They call it in the back, and they don't care about the fans and what their opinion is of the fans or whether they're reacting or not. They just care about getting their shit in.
Mr. Del Santo, do you have any thoughts on that?
7 minutes I'm never getting back of my life with this match. I've kind of, the last few weeks, hyped up this the actual wrestling on the show for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
While the in-between stuff was all trash, I can't do that this week. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't see, like Jay said, I don't see the appeal of Sam Stackhouse. Obviously, my buddy Gags the Gimp was in the match, who I can't stand watching. This Alex Misery fella kind of growing on me. Eric Smalls I kind of like a little bit, but this really did nothing for me. It was kind of all over the place in a way as well.
So
nothing to it.
Yeah, and like the thing is like this is I'm pulling it up here. This is the second episode. No, this is the third episode from Hard Times, right? Mm-hmm. So we're in the middle of the card here. And if, I don't know, they could always shoot out of order, but I don't feel like there's going to be a whole lot.
Hey, Jay, you're breaking up.
You're underwater, it sounds like.
Man, how do I get underneath the water? Is this better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't understand. Like, this was the third episode of Hard Times, the third episode from Dothan, from this Hard Times 5 signature live event. I don't really feel like there's somebody that goes and edits these shows after the fact. So I don't imagine that they're shooting matches out of order. So this match literally took place in the middle of that signature live event. And I think Jaden has had the most experiences in running live events. And what kind of match makes sense to put in the middle of a card? Is this a match that makes sense in the middle of a card and the end of the card, or the beginning of a card, Jaden?
I wasn't really listening to the match because that means that I have to pay attention to what happens on Power.
Sure.
But what was the match?
It was Tyler Franks and Size Matters.
Oh, you're talking about that garbage. Okay. I thought we were over that now. Where does that belong? That belongs like on in the garbage.
It's the popcorn match.
Popcorn? No, I ain't ruining my popcorn sales.
People are outside getting, hitting their whiskey flasks because this was not it.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? The other day I said every time I watch Dave Dahl wrestle, I was talking to my doctor. I was like, doctor, every time I see Dave Dahl wrestle, I get sick to my stomach. Is there something wrong with me? He's like, I don't know if there's anything wrong with you, but your eyesight's great. That's kind of what I see right now with this. It's like, why? everything I say, I always say about what I was always taught in television. Every second of television is important. You need to put everything on television that's going to improve your business. Unless you are selling nausea medicine, how does this improve your business?
You got a point there. You got a point.
Hey, Jay?
Yeah.
I'll quote Jim Cornette this time.
Okay.
This is the match that you put on at the flea market that, you know, you have a sold show for, and it's for the, you know, it's where you put the people who don't have any experience and aren't ready to be in front of not only not ready to be in front of a TV crowd, but not ready to be in front in front of a standard show at all.
Right.
This is where you put this is where you have like your least done spot show in a place that you probably won't see again for 3 years.
And this is in Dothan, one of the stronger markets for the NWA. And here's some positives, right? For whatever reason, Eric Smalls gets a huge reaction out of the Dothan crowd. Okay, so I get you want to feature him on the card, and even, you know, you've been putting him and him and Sam Stackhouse together as a team. Okay, I get it. You know, opposites attract. You know, the twins from, you know, Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, whatever it is they're going for here. I get it. So put them in a tag match. Like they could have still had something okay here. I mean, Size Matters was in the Crockett Cup, as was you know, members of the Lost. So it would have made sense if this was some sort of qualifying match or some sort of play-in for Crockett Cup. But this was a 6-man tag that just, there are no 6-man tag titles. As far as Tyler Franks goes, he has no connection to any of the other 5 guys in the match. As far as Size Matters and the Lost, there is no rivalry there. So, you know, taking the talent out of the equation, just the booking was really dumb. And then the fact that, you know, again, I'm not a Stackhouse fan. I'm not a Smalls fan. I really like Tyler Franks, but this was not it for him. I really like Misery, but this match was just kind of, you know, it just kind of happened. And like, that's the kind of stuff that I think is going to hurt the NWA if they want to grow, if they want to try to, you know, get out of Roku and get onto the CW, if they want to get onto Paramount Plus. Like, I'm not putting this show on my television station. It's awful.
They're not making matches that people are going to want to see. They'll be like, oh, what's this? You know what I mean? It's just like, oh God, what is this? It's two different things. It's not attractive. It's not an attractive match to the human eyeballs that may like wrestling or have never seen professional wrestling. It's just, you know, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
This is back to the booking for one person.
Yeah. And the way he called out Sam Stackhouse in the middle of the match, I was like, he didn't even like this match, you know?
He can't explain his own booking. You know, we've talked about that before. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he basically acknowledges with his terrible commentary that he doesn't know what he's doing because he can't explain it.
Yes.
I wrote something else about that later, and we'll talk about that too. But okay, so the next matchup, well, actually the next segment of the show is Chokazana back in the Dothan studios, apologizing to Chelsea, the reporter, for ruining the segment last time, which Chelsea's just mad at him for ruining this segment. So again, like, I get that it's tongue in cheek and we're trying to poke fun at Joe and instead of Joe Kazana, maybe he's Sleepy Joe Biden. I don't know what they're trying to do here, but it just it felt like you're trying to make Joe Kazana a buffoon and the butt of a joke. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But like, you just also elected him the face of the territories. So it's like, this is a contradiction. Either he's a buffoon and he lucks into the success, or he's someone that should be leading the territories as somebody that knows what the heck he's doing. So I don't know. I didn't take very many notes other than, why do they keep making him look like a buffoon? Rick, I'll ask your opinion. What did you think of this?
I hated it. I mean, I was just like, this is like over and over. They just keep making him look like an ass.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, Joe Kazana is kind of a legend in a way. It's somebody I grew up watching on NWA TV growing up, you know, and I enjoyed him. And You know, but I guess they do that sometimes with a lot of old timers. They did it during the Attitude Era with like Mae Young and Moolah and stuff like that, making them comedy bits and stuff like that. Now Billy's doing it with Joe Kazana, and it just to me it just kind of tarnishes their legacy in a way of being like a legendary wrestler and their career. It was kind of dumb, and I just like thoroughly did not enjoy it, but by any means.
It also tarnishes his family reputation because even ignoring AJ and Casey Kazana, the Kazana name, the Kazana family was instrumental in a lot of professional wrestling, especially in the what is that? The not Central States area, the southeastern area.
Aren't they from Southeast? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt, and I don't know if you're still in the chat because you said this a while ago. The sketches aren't a part of Power. It's like the old Muppet Show, a show within a show.
First of all, mana, do. Second of all, don't ever besmirch the Muppet Show again. One of the greatest television shows ever. This is more like SCTV on acid, except for SCTV was great.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of a really horrible sketch comedy show. But
remember Tracy
Tonight? If you really want, boy, am I showing my age on this one? It's like Fernwood Tonight. If anybody knows what that show is.
What was it?
Fernwood Tonight.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who knows that show? You know it, DK?
Yeah.
It was meant to be bad.
Am I too old?
But I actually totally disagree with that statement. The sketches are very much a part of Power.
Yeah.
It is the Power wrestlers talking about whatever they're talking about in the thing.
Yeah.
This isn't like, oh, well, they're showing some weird stuff of whatever. Oh, well, it's a show within a show. Yeah, I understand with the Muppet. The Muppet, we were supposed to be watching, them do a vaudeville show.
Yep.
And seeing. So, no, that's not this. This is just stupidity.
It reminds me of Glow, but even Glow is better. With the bad sketch comedy, and it was horrible. It was god awful. And I'd still rather watch that because at least the women were attractive, for the most part.
What are you saying about Kenzie Page?
Not my thing. I don't like nose rings.
What are you saying about La Princesa Tiffany Nieves?
She looks like EC3.
What's funny is I said that last week.
I know. That's why I said it.
All right. Well, then let's go.
So from now on, we're calling La Princesa Gender Swap EC3. Okay.
Oh, my God. Oof. I don't think I want to say that because there might be a point in time where we could get her on the show, and that would definitely end that.
That's why I said it.
Matt said, or the Larry Sanders Show, point being the commentary doesn't know anything about the events at the Alliance blog. Or the events, the sketches. Yeah, that's true. They don't really bring the sketches onto the show, but again, that's just more reason not to include them. It's more reason to ditch that whole concept.
Well, exactly. Like when we were talking about the Muppet Show, what was happening backstage was related to what was happening up front. Like when the crocodiles pushed Elton John. Or good Elton John, and then you see them swimming in the back. I mean, it's related. It is part of the flow of the show. These aren't parts of the flow of the show.
I got an idea.
Well, I will admit, I watched Larry Sanders a very, 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 very long time ago. So
it was a great show. So
I have a great idea. I have a brilliant idea.
Let's hear it.
Billy, hire me and DKM. If it's going to be like the Muppet Show, we could be Statler and Waldorf.
Pretty sure we are Statler.
And then Joe Galley is Kermit the Frog there going, come on, guys!
Can you do that one again?
No, I will not.
And the problem is Billy still isn't fit.
Yeah.
Billy's 100% gonzo.
He hates chickens?
He loves his chickens.
He does love his chickens. All right. Let's move on from that. Next up, we have the match between Jay Bradley and Slex. This wasn't an advertised match, which I thought was kind of weird because, I get that Slex might not be a big name on the independent scene in the United States, but neither is Tyler Franks, and he was on the advertisement. So I like Slex a lot. I go back to watching Slex when he was part of the NWA Australia group. No, not the Billy Corgan one, but the one that was back in 2008 with Hartley Jackson and Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols. And they had the two NWA Australian promotions, one in Perth and one in South Australia. So I thought this was seeing Slex again was heartwarming for me because I've followed his career for a long time. Billy says that Slex, once he found out that Slex was in the United States, that he offered him a deal because he liked him so much in Australia. And I'm good. I'm good with him saying that, but like, why was this the only match we've seen him in? Why wasn't he booked for Crockett Cup? I thought Slex and Slade would have been a good tag team. It'd be fun to say. The match itself is pretty much just putting Bradley over how much of a badass he is, carrying the chain around, and it's kind of reminiscent of Nord the Barbarian back in the day. But I also feel like he's just carrying the chain to set up the dog collar match with him and Legursky at Crockett Cup. Another thing that I wrote as a criticism was Billy very wildly just asked in the middle of the match, goes, "All right, Deals, let me ask you a question. Why isn't Bradley suspended?"
Isn't that his job?
I don't know, Billy. You're the fucking president. Maybe that's a you call, not a Danny Deals call. Is Danny Deals head of talent relations, or is he the ad guy? I lost my shit when he said that. I'm like, did he really just say that? And even Deals, like, I'm sure he'll never admit to it, but he paused, and I could read his thoughts in that moment, and he said, "What the fuck did he just say to me?" Like, wait, I mean,
and then he's got to try to put it over,
Well, and that's the worst way to put it over. Like, he could have started off with saying, we were going to suspend, because he tried to explain it later. Oh, well, Legursky asked us not to suspend him. That's the only reason why he's here. But that maybe lead off with that. Maybe say, hey, you know what? I was not a fan of the actions of Jay Bradley. I think they were irreprehensible. However, he did attack Wrecking Ball Legursky, who pleaded with me to keep Bradley on the roster because he wanted to have his revenge in the ring. That's why that match is still going to happen. And it would have been a great way to plug Crockett Cup. Instead, he said something so asinine and just completely ripped me out of the situation. And I couldn't that phrase literally took some enjoyment out of the match. And I thought this was a pretty good match, but the stupid commentary ruined something else.
Yeah. This, to me, was the most enjoyable portion of the television show this week. It showed that Jay Bradley was a badass. He delivered a really intense clothesline on Slex that I really enjoyed. And then it was over. And that was it. And then, so it did what it was supposed to do, and in a very positive way. It wasn't just a bunch of BS. 4 minutes or so, give or take a few. And like I said, I really enjoyed this moment the most out of the entire 38 minutes that this week, this show was this week.
Yep. That's, again, I agree with that. DK, do you have anything you would like to add on that?
Well, this is one of those nicest guy in prison type things. Yeah, it was the best part of the show, but the bar was about 6 feet underground, so stepping over it looks looks good in comparison.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
For those who haven't figured it out, I didn't like this week's show. The skits were terrible, and as Rick said earlier, the wrestling didn't make up for it. So,
yeah. All right. Well, Steve G's like, that's it. I'm out. Have a good night. We have a little bit more to get to, Steve, but I get it. If you're leaving, have a good night. Then the next part we get is the segment with Creepy Vic, the therapist, the motivational speaker. I don't know what he was doing at the car dealership. I don't know why the NWA talent was there. he was obviously very impressed by the talents that he got to speak to, including Tiffany Nieves, who was giving off kind of mixed messages, and the whole thing felt very weird and kind of creepy. Like, I'm like, is she hitting on him? Does he want to date her? I mean, what's going on with all this? And
right,
like, he's like, hey, are you do you do yoga, or do you meditate? And yeah, we could do Zoom chats, and it was very weird. And again, Matt, I don't feel like this was disconnected from the rest of the program, and it just, it shouldn't be. We've got Tiffany Nieves, who is, on television, the women's champion. We also know that she has the tag title as well. This didn't, like, maybe this should have been, hey, I have an idea for you. Like, I'm just a human resource guy. I'm just a motivational speaker, but I see Kenzie Page with 2 belts, and I think you could have 2 belts. And I think you should go find yourself a tag team partner and take that other belt off of Kenzie and show her who's really like. That would have been good. It would have tied everything together. Instead, we had this creepy conversation where, is he about to ask her for a Cash App or something? I don't know. It was weird. And Rick, go ahead and tell me what you thought about this.
It's at this point I was pretty much tuned out. Like, I mean, I couldn't tolerate any more of the BS of the show. It's just too weird. Yeah. All these skits are just too weird. Can't concentrate. Can't get into them. I'm here to watch wrestling. I'm not here for all the BS. Also, set up the matches, do something. I don't know why they're just, and I've said this weeks and weeks, for 4 weeks and weeks, why aren't they just doing in-between match interviews as opposed to doing the ridiculous skits? Because, like, who was it? Somebody, Overmetal, whichever, said it's like a show in a show, and it's just, that second show just kind of sucks. To be honest. It's like, if this was like regular television, that show would have been canceled a very, very, very long time.
Now, Devin Dowling, how much marijuana did you smoke before the show? Because there's no way you said that was good. I loved it. No, you didn't.
Who's gonna say that watching all this crap? I can't even, like. There's a lot of shows, wrestling shows, I refuse because, wrestling gets stupid sometimes. I won't watch around, like, my wife because it's like, oh, shit, that's what he watches kind of a thing. This is definitely, you know what I'm saying? Like, watching, like, the videos of the fabulous ones coming out, like the music videos.
Hold on. I have an answer for you here in a second.
It's like, this is definitely one of those shows that I can't put on around anybody to watch anymore. Watch it on my laptop in my office while I'm working. That's it.
Yeah, this one doesn't make, last night I was watching AEW on the TV downstairs, good, I think it's like a 60-incher, watching it, enjoying it. I'll watch Raw in front of my kids. I'll even have it on when I'm in front of my kids. And
I'd probably be more proud watching that stuff, and I don't even watch it because the content isn't as embarrassing. You know what I mean?
This is, especially this. 2 weeks ago, I went on TikTok and I tried to do like a watch along on TikTok, and I put the NWA Power from Twitter and I put it on, and I probably could have risked getting demonetized, but whatever. I wanted to try something different. I'm trying to expose new people to the NWA, hoping that maybe more eyeballs.
The wrong era to do that.
Yeah. Like the match I had on, someone in the chat was like, these promos are cringy, and it's like they know what a promo is, but this is not good to them. These are untrained NWA eyes, and you have one shot to grab somebody into this program, and that's what you're producing. Like I am really concerned about when they pop up on Roku. Like, I really hope Roku is going to get to help direct, or at least give notes to Billy. And I know he hates that idea, but holy shit.
He wants to do what he wants to do. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. And whether it's garbage, stirring up the garbage, or I mean, he needs help with creativity. And at one point it was Dave Lagana, they were putting on excellent TV show for a couple years there.
Yeah.
Right? Even with the 10 pounds of gold. But once Dave, was forced to leave, it's just kind of, what the hell is going on here? Kind of a situation. And it's like, it wasn't as bad a year ago. It was bad, but it wasn't this bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it keeps going further and further and further down the sewer.
It's definitely sliding.
I wonder if it's Pat Kenny, because don't forget, when ECW was around, Simon Diamond was around was with a Musketeer and a Prada Jet and other stuff. I'm wondering if they think this skit. I'm wondering if they think this skit is these skits are their version of Misraloo, or the stuff that they would do, during those where they'd have a bunch of weird stuff happening on Misraloo, and then that's what they're thinking this is, because it's god awful. I hope not.
I mean, yeah, it's just I don't know what wrestling fans would be attracted to watching this, especially and don't get me wrong, I still love the NWA, but this isn't doing it for me the last few years.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question. I got a question for you guys, real quick. That's somehow related. Did you guys watch Lucha Underground?
I watched a couple episodes. I never got into it too much.
I didn't watch it as much, but I did go to the temple 2 times.
Okay. Well, this is from something Cody Rhodes. It's the screen name on Discord.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, because I mentioned that, they do the poll every week. I go, most people vote exactly the same. And I go, or if they do change their vote, it's normally like within one. Maybe they'll give it a B, maybe they'll give it a C, maybe they'll give it an A, maybe they'll give it a B, whatever.
Right.
So something Cody Rhodes goes, I find the current version of POWERRR to be entertaining. I can't say I love what they're showing on Wrestling Central right now. So they're booking for something Cody Rhodes. He might be Billy. I don't know, because the show sucks big time. And he said, I also love the Lucha Underground Vigilance. Now, I hated Lucha Underground because of the concept of it, so I never really watched it. And then he also doesn't like Sam Stackhouse, which, look, I'm not the biggest Sam Stackhouse fan on the planet. I've seen him live a few times. He's I think from Oklahoma. He wrestles in this area quite a bit. I've seen him live a few times. He was actually the last IHW heavyweight champion. David had put that title on him when he did one of his last shows. And so, I almost find it humorous to hear all the hate for him. Of course, I expect Jay to hate him, and Jay hates Carson. And but no, seriously, I do find it interesting. It's just a different perspective than what I'm used to hearing. Not that I quote unquote, am the world's biggest fan of Sam Stackhouse, but I've just always thought he was okay. That he had a role to play as kind of the big guy that was a little more agile and stuff. However you want to put it. So, yeah.
Wait, real quick, Matt, did you get Cody to watch Power, or did he get you to watch Power?
I want to know why he's a roommate with Billy Corgan.
What?
Because DK thinks SS Cody's Billy Corgan.
Oh, shit. Sorry, I guess I missed out on that one.
I'd rather watch Vince Russo era, very beginning SC Shotgun Saturday Night with Monk Ferguson and the Flying Nuns. That should tell you something.
Yeah.
You got a point.
This this episode wasn't that good, but let's go. Then also, we had that really creepy skit with Tiffany and youth pastor Vic, I guess, and then later we get the Temple of Dunn taking on Baron Beretta and I did what they did on the show. Baron Von Storm and Brandon Beretta versus the Temple of the Dumb, and again, I'm okay with a cartoonic tag team. But why is this like the main event? Like
that's exactly what I was going to say. Why is this the main event, and who's going to tune in and be excited for this match? To say, oh, the main event is the Temple of Doom or Dumb, whatever, against Baron von Stormbrand. Like, I'm not going to jump onto my seat to see this thing.
What are you talking about? It's a main event anywhere in the country. If you're brain dead.
Yeah. And like, look, I'm always going to have a soft spot in my heart for Tim Storm.
You should get a doctor to look at that.
Yeah, thanks. I'm always going to have good things to say about him, but I like his best years are definitely behind him, and I don't think anyone.
I think he knows that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I get that's why they keep putting him in the tag team so that he can hide some of those weaknesses while still contributing as a wrestler on the show. But I think it's officially time to stop that. And it's just not good. And on top of that, like the over the top gimmick tag team of the Temple of Doom, it just doesn't seem like it fits in the NWA. But I guess they're shoving it down there because these guys will return at the Crockett Cup. This is the third time on it. This Crockett Cup will be their third time on NWA programming. And like, put those guys in the ring with AJ Kazana, please. Let me watch AJ pop one of those dudes in the face, please. I'm not saying that these are bad wrestlers because, they're not bad. It's just the gimmick is so stupid. And like, again, maybe that's why he is in the ring with Baron von Storm, because Baron von Storm thinks he's a Baron from 1920 Germany. I don't know. This just sounds stupid to me. And this entire show just failed to hit, the markers, at least for me.
Yeah. And, I don't care too much to see. I've seen Beastman quite a few times, different shows, using MLW for a little while. Worked Tony Capone's NAWA when they tried to relaunch. He's not very entertaining. He's actually lost a lot of weight, but no offense to the guy, but, he's just not very entertaining.
No, I don't see that either. I don't see it either. That was Power. Of course, there was a skit after the show. I got to be honest, I didn't even watch it. I missed it. I didn't realize that there was more after the match until while we started this live stream. So,
good for you.
I'm already mad enough as it is. I don't need to go, kick the dog and. That's it. I don't want to say anything worse than that. So that was Power. I still think. What's that?
It sucked.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
There have been some pretty stinking episodes of Power. This is definitely one of the worst. Definitely, if someone asked me what was the worst episode of Power this year, this one's like top 1 or 2, easy.
Yeah.
Even on the last Hard Times signature live event episode, it was better than this.
We still have 6 months left of the year, so God knows what can happen.
Well, I'll say this. Being at Crockett Cup, I think I could say this, and I think Jaden's here. He could back me up on it. Milk Mascaras. Like, we got there, and there really wasn't a bad match on the card. Some of them weren't as exciting as the others, but I don't feel like there was a stinker like this one.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, honestly, if you take everything Kratos out, it would actually probably all be good.
You don't like Kratos?
What?
I'm sorry, not Kratos. Kratos. I'm sorry. Who's the big, tall, goofy dude?
Talos.
Yeah. Harryhausen's rolling over in his grave. Did I say the name right? I'm trying to think. It was Ray Harryhausen. There we go. He's rolling over in his grave right now.
It's still a reference that's wasted on me. I apologize.
If you ever watched The Golden Voyage of Sinbad or the Jason and the Argonauts or anything, or any of those shows, you would understand.
Gotcha.
Talos was a Greek god, a statue made out of bronze, and he did an excellent job animating him, which is way better than I can say that Billy Corgan is doing with the wrestler Talos.
It's
a really deep. It's an NWA deep cut.
Oh my god!
Hey, just out of curiosity, because this is one of those situations where everybody was so excited when Talos came because he was so much better than the last giant that Daisy Kill had teamed with for one episode. Do you remember that? I mean, do you remember him teaming with somebody else and everybody hated him and Talos came in and were, oh, he's much better. And I was just like, I don't see the difference.
I don't remember that at all. I don't remember anyone saying that Talos was better, and it certainly wasn't coming from this direction. Having watched Talos in Southern California, he was a part of Prince Nana's Championship Wrestling from Hollywood dynasty. That same dynasty that was supporting Jordan Clearwater as United Wrestling Network World Champion. Talos was very green, and I saw him wrestle one match against Willie Mack, and it was not good. And then I saw him pop up in the NWA. I think the difference is the guy in the NWA was just a legitimate asshole and was taking liberties in the ring, as well as talking a lot of shit in the locker room. I think that's what got that guy canned, not because Talos was such a much better wrestler. I think just
the guy was horrible in the ring.
Yeah.
And that's not why he was fired. Everybody was glad when he was gone. When Talos came in, it was like, oh, he's so much better. It's just like, I kind of seen the same guy. He may not be the asshole, but,
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Talos is never going to win a 5-star match, but, he is trying to better himself. He's wrestling in Japan, trying to be better. I mean.
Okay. I'm going to go Jim Cornette on people here now.
Let's hear it.
Going to Japan doesn't mean shit anymore.
Okay.
If you're not wrestling in New Japan or maybe All Japan, so fuck what?
He is wrestling for All Japan.
Is he wrestling for All Japan? Well, is he doing anything for All Japan? Because everyone told, oh, go watch Omos in Japan. He's so much better. I wasted time Googling Omos in Japan. You know what? He fucking sucks. He's no good. He doesn't have knees. Why are you telling me go watch him in Japan? He's good. Going to Japan means shit.
I like the sound effect at the end. I'm just saying, the great Antonio went to Japan. Giant Gonzalez went to Japan.
That great Antonio, man, he got rocked. That was okay. Yeah, sure.
One of my favorite feats ever.
Yes, all this is fine, but look, is he the best wrestler in the world? No, absolutely not. Would he make a good heater? I think so. I don't think he should be world champion. I don't think he should be in the title picture. But that's not my decision to make. But
someone's only a good heater if they can actually look semi-decent once they're in the ring.
Well, look, if all he had to do was go in and chokeslam somebody like 9/11 from ECW, I think he could pull that off.
911. 9/11 is a completely different thing there, Jay.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to understand. I read about these people. I've always thought of them as 9/11. So I guess, all right. Now that you say it and I say it out loud and hear it, yeah, you're right. I apologize.
Somebody called 911, How many times do you say somebody called 9/11?
Maybe it's a California thing, but I always say things like that.
But you also throw N's in words that don't belong and can't speak Japanese names, so. Or apparently Samoan names in Hawaii.
Okay, well, let's not compare spelling because yours sucks too.
Yes, but.
You're a college-educated man.
But I can at least say the words.
Yeah, well. That sounds like a good place to stop. We're going to call it a night. Real quick, Mr. Rick Del Santo, of course, we appreciate you spending your time with us here on the Alliance blog. You've been adopted into the family, so please plug what's coming up next for the Pro Wrestling Wire.
Well, I'm kind of slowed down a little bit. I've got a lot going on in my family life. However, next week you can catch an interview with former USWA announcer Michael St. John. Okay. And it's kind of a rare name from the past. And I will be interviewing Tank Toland. Thank you, Jaden. That one was rescheduled till next week, so that one will be coming out. And I believe that's it for now.
Make sure when you talk to Michael St. John, you bring up that very brief TBS show that was associated with Georgia Championship Wrestling that he was a ring announcer. He was the commentator for. That was where Jim Cornette kind of got a breakthrough in the Fantastic Ones. And look it up. It's it was horrible, but but it was definitely entertaining.
Hit me up after the show, and we'll talk more about this. So I know what you're talking about, but hit me up after the show.
Okay.
With that being said, Jaden, I know there's a huge event coming June 28th in Riverton, New Jersey at Sacred Heart Church, featuring some of the amazing stars of Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators and Dave Dahl. Tell us a little bit about that.
Real quick, I just want to give a quick plug to MAWA, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Alliance. The Vinny the Fixer will be defending the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators championship there against Death Proof. And then if he's still champion, he'll defend it on Saturday night, June 28th at the Sacred Heart Church, located at 103 4th Street in beautiful, historic Riverton, New Jersey, against number one contender, one of the most popular wrestlers, and the wrestler has one of the best win records in Dog, Marvelous. So I can't wait for that match. It's going to be great. You'll also see the World Wrestling Grand Prix. Now you can bring the graphic up if you want. The World Wrestling Grand Prix, that's not it. The World Wrestling Grand Prix Championship will be on the line as David Goldie takes on AEW superstar and former Monster Factory guy. In fact, this is the first time, even though they're both Monster Factory guys, it's the first time they're going against each other in Nick Camarado. Oh. You'll also see the World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Championship on the line as Valerie Verman takes on Stevie Brooks. Dylan Mesh and Dave Dahl take on Primal Fear. You know, a lot of people are afraid of the dark. After they see Dave Dahl wrestle, they're going to be afraid of the light.
Oh my God. That was stupid.
WWE superstar Tank Tolan will take on Jack Martins. He's been really arrogantly just calling out Tank Tolan. Obviously, you're going to see Biggie Biggs, who, if you watch recently on the Alliance Guys podcast, and the J. Cal had an interview with, a really good interview with, and we're going to see a bunch of obviously a bunch of highlights soon coming from there. And he will be taking on Silver Lobo. You have D-Gap Bundles. Hopefully, he doesn't knock out Connor the Flag Boy. And I heard you were putting over Connor the Flag Boy as a potential wrestler. I also heard you were talking about how much you weren't a fan of his personality there, Jay, which I don't blame you, because Dave Dahl has been rubbing off on him, and everybody knows Dave Dahl's been rubbing everybody the wrong way.
I'm glad he went that direction. That could have went so much worse.
You're going to see a ton of great professional wrestlers. Dave Dahl will be there too. Saturday night, June 28th. Don't forget also, world-ranked bantamweight professional boxer Emmanuel Rodriguez will be there. He'll be there promoting his fight coming up on August 9th. But before that, he will be there. And I don't know if you know this, but Connor the Flag Boy is actually upset that Emmanuel's listed on the poster and Connor's not. He thinks he should be the person that's listed on there. He doesn't like the fact that D gets listed either. You know, he thinks he's a big star. So if D-Get doesn't punch him in the face for not keeping it simple, stupid, I think Emmanuel Rodriguez might. You never know. Tickets are $20. You can get them the day of the event. The bell time is 7:30, but doors open at 7 o'clock. Make sure you come and check it out. It's going to be a great night. If we really pack the place, too, we always do really well. If we do really well, we always give a little extra to the Sacred Heart Church basketball program. So it's another reason to come. I'm hoping to see at least one of these Alliance guys or somebody for there. And I don't know whatever happened to him, but Big Chris Dog said he was coming, but I don't know what happened to him. He kind of disappeared. But he says he might be coming, so hopefully we'll see him there too. But make sure you're there Saturday night, June 28th, the Sacred Heart Church, 103 4th Street in beautiful, historic Riverton, New Jersey.
That sounds like a good plan. I think we should call it a night now. So I want to say thanks for everyone for tuning in. And, oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's very rude of me. DCam, do you have any news pertaining to the IHWE that you'd like to share with us?
He doesn't. I'm excited.
I do. I don't
like this marriage.
No kidding. Me either. IHWE is looking to fill some of its vacant titles, and last Saturday I was at a show for Advanced Pro Wrestling in Cleveland, Texas. and I watched a young lady by the name of Haley Danielle wrestle, and she has made it very clear that she wants the IHWE Women's Championship, and hope to be getting a promo from her soon about that. And also, APW might be interested in hosting that match, so keep your ears open. So we should be having a championship match for the women's title here within the next couple of months.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to see those promos. I can't wait to see the developments on how that happens. Oh, real quick, I also want to give a shout out to former NWA North American champion Mustang Mike. He is actually the AIWF champion. And Rick Del Santo is friends with the AIWF television champion, if I'm not mistaken.
Me and Buzz Bloodsaw just did a whole round together Saturday. We traveled together Saturday, did a convention in the morning.
Oh, nice.
We did a show together in the evening. Yeah, he's a great guy, Buzz Bloodsaw. And, of course, we had one half of the AIWF Tag Team Champions, the Duke Boys, Corey Duke with us, who's a very bright young wrestler. He's only been in the business about a year and a half. And I got to tell you, y'all should keep your eyes on this kid. This kid is going to be something someday. I mean, I picked that up. I was there for his debut match, and you wouldn't have known it was his debut match just by watching him. This dude looked like he'd been trained under Paul Roma and Mario Mancini. This guy looked like he'd been in the ring for years, to be honest with you. So,
unlike Dave Daw, who's looked like he'd been floating in a river for years.
I interviewed Mustang Mike a week before he won that title, by the way. And Mustang Mike's a great guy.
Make sure to put that in the chat so people can check out that interview.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much again for hanging out with us on this Thursday night for the Alliance Guys podcast. We'll be back next Thursday. Of course, check out the other Alliance guys who are now on Mondays at 6:30. So we got you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday right here on the Alliance Blog channel. And until next time, we will be happy to see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at the Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are